Welcome to STEAM Power, the Common Core with Robotics and Programming. I'm Adrienne DeWolf of the Contra Costa County Office of Education, and we're really happy to present this webinar this afternoon with teacher extraordinaire Shauna Haas of Valley View Middle School of Mount Diablo Unified School District. And she's here to share with us robotics and programming that she's been working with kids at her school and the amazing things that they're doing. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Adrienne. Of course, sounding like teacher extraordinaire is a bit of a challenge, but hopefully you'll see a lot of students extraordinaire and get some great things ahead of you. So we're talking about STEAM powering the Common Core with robotics and programming. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about the program that we're using. Adrienne, I'm having some trouble getting through this process. How do I go to the next slide? Yes, people, as much as I try, these are the kinds of things I run into. Okay, so as I say in the slide, in teaching, as in presenting my first webinar, there's always a challenge. So the question was, how do we implement Common Core math, but also attract students to having math skills, to math professions, math concepts, and even more now with Common Core, how do we make them want to write out their explanations of how they solve their problems? And that is a challenge that many of us deal with, you know, even in English and all of that. Okay, so to give you a little bit of history, I met Dr. Cheng from UC Davis. He is involved in the C-STEM program up there, and I met him at the Contra Costa County STEAM colloquium a few years ago, and I was very impressed because that department of that organization had done a lot of correlation between Common Core math standards and robotics and programming. And as an English major, I grew up absolutely hating math. I saw no purpose for it, and I saw nothing that I would ever do with it, which of course makes my math major mother really think this is funny to see what I'm doing now. Through Dr. Cheng's work, I was really interested because for the first time I saw, oh, well, if it's not about math just being math, but actually doing something with it, I could probably have gotten into that when I was a middle schooler or younger. So I'm sharing here with you the C-STEM curriculum that was developed up at UC Davis, and I want you to notice there's also a high school course that goes along with it, and it actually does fit the A through G requirements. The middle school courses I've broken out here in this picture so that you can see that they've correlated the grade 6 and 7 math, and then programming, and even robotics and film production. They have several textbooks, mathematical concepts for middle school, for high school. They have a, and I'm not kidding you, almost like a Robots for Dummies book, learning computers for the absolute beginner. There's a lot of support for people who are getting into this idea who don't feel like they have a strong background in math or in robotics or programming. So that also very much attracted me. On this page, I wanted you to see that there's this huge document that correlates all these different units with Common Core math. So I don't know if you can see my mouse, but right now the third column is the Common Core math standards. So you can see on this screen when we're looking at basic computer programming, it actually correlates to some of the Common Core standards. And then these are some of the activities that go with it.
And I'm going to jump in here for a second, Shauna, because I want to welcome Colette and Rebecca and just remind them that they should be able to see their questions window. And if they have any questions or problems with audio, that they should just let us know in that questions window. So welcome.
Absolutely, welcome. I'm glad you're here. So what I was just showing was the the links that Dr. Chang up at Davis had created in correlating programming, robotics, and Common Core math. And as a middle school teacher, I'm most interested in middle school standards. So that's why I took this screenshot for you. Okay, so after having attended the 2-day programming where my brain just felt like it was going to explode with all the math and programming and robots, I came back very excited, and I had with me a book of probably 300 or 400 pages of the Common Core middle school math standards and all of the robotics and programming that supported it. And I was super excited, and I put it in the hands of our head of our math department. And it was really fun and exciting, except reality hit. And we don't have the computers that we would need in order to provide this curriculum for the students. So I put pieces of the curriculum into my computer applications classes. So my students for a couple of years have actually been working on programming, but we couldn't do it for overall math. And then this year we had decided to start an after-school robotics club. And we were not sure who would come. We were not sure how many students would come, but we opened it up to grades 6, 7, and 8. We also organized this with the help and support of a College Park student, and College Park is the feeder school where our students will go. And so we have a high school, we have 2 actually now, high school mentors who come over and work with the kids for our after-school robotics program. So as I said, until we can put computers in every classroom and have this kind of curriculum available to every student, for right now we're doing an after-school program that we call the LinkBot RoboPlay Club. And our logo that's from Valley View has this wonderful jaguar, and then we put the LinkBots. The LinkBots are little tiny modular robots. They're about 3 inches wide and a couple inches high and keep us well entertained. This is a close-up of a LinkBot. It has, you know, all the robotics properties in it, but the best part is because it's modular, we assemble them, and you'll get to see that in a few moments. Now here's a little video. And my videos are just a few seconds long, where you can see, I hope, how many different parts are available. So they all have different wheels, connectors, all sorts of things. And the best part of this is everything is 3D printable as well. So the kids can make modifications and make larger wheels, for example. We've spent a lot of time discussing the math of radius and circumference, and the amazing thing to me is how much these kids just own these concepts, whereas I'm still remembering, okay, radius, 2 pi r, da 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 da, and they totally own these concepts. Radius, diameter, they are second nature. And then, well, I'll tell you that in a minute. How things work around here. Oops, let's go back. So one of the goals was for the students to have an understanding that we had 2 outcomes of programming. Obviously, one is making the computer do the work for us. And I tell them, because again, remember it's middle school, I tell them that I'm going to teach them to make the computer do their homework for them, and it's okay with their math teachers. So the best part about, and this is the wonderful Common Core piece, is that in order for the students to program calculations, graphs, and all of that, they have to have a strong understanding of the set of equations, of how it's set up, of what the graph looks like, etc. And it's amazing because if you hand them a paper, many of them will just look at you and go, I don't know what this is. But as soon as they're telling the robot to calculate the price per ounce of yogurt, they totally own that. And it's just so easy they can hardly stand it. And they're very cocky about it, just to make sure that I clarify. Because this is too easy, Miss Hawes. And the other thing is, of course, the other outcome is programming another object, like a robot, to do work for us. So we really have them understanding that there are two goals of what they do. So that's an important concept. So I thought you would enjoy seeing some of the videos of our projects along the way. So let me tell you a little bit about our robot club before I hit play. One of the nice things that we have available to us as part of our software purchase from Soft Integration, which is all part of this UC Davis thing, was that it included something called RoboSim. So the students, before we ever actually started using the robots, learned really basic programming, and then on RoboSim, which I didn't include a video, I'm sorry, they can actually practice. So they can see if their program ran, they can watch the robots move, they can see the robots interact, and it's really powerful. They absolutely love it. This is, of course, before they put their hands on the robots themselves. Once they put their hands on the robots, you know, all bets are off. And the way that I structure the club, which is an hour and a half on Wednesday afternoons, is that I teach a lesson. We start exactly on time at 2:30. I teach a lesson. They're expected to be as if in school, listening, participating, etc. And then after the lesson, we do some practice time, and then probably the last half an hour or longer, they have kind of free choice time. And during the free choice time, we get the most crazy configurations. One of the neat things about the LinkBots that came out early in the process was that not only can you program them, but they actually have a lot of neat features where you don't even need a computer. For example, they can drive each other. So early on, the kids would drive their LinkBots using one to control others. And I think that's what we're seeing right here. And I can't even tell you how proud they were to make this thing move. So what you have is the student walking along, driving this robot. And of course you can hear in the background the excited voices of many happy children. I will tell you that one of the disappointments is that we only have 2 girls who have been with us all year. We have approximately 25 students. It's kind of shaken out from a high of about 32, 34, but only 2 are girls. And so we'll talk about that in a little bit. Oops. So part of, again, this free time thing is that I get out of their way. I've taught them really basic stuff. I am not a programmer at all. And see if you can tell what they're doing here. These are okay, so these 6th graders decided to do a red light, green light game that, I mean, I had nothing to do with it. And so one of the boys was playing, obviously, the person calling, this traffic light, and the other kids were programming. And in the middle of all of that, they were actively programming, they were actively running it, so you could see that they were responding. This wasn't a pre-programmed activity or anything. Then we got a little further, and this one we called Monstrosity. Oops, I went backwards here. Oh, for heaven's sake, sorry. So you can see now that they've programmed multiple robots to make multiple movements, and they have to designate which robot is you know, 1, 2, or 3, and there's different kinds of robots and configurations. And so they're very proud of themselves. And one of the fun things that came out of this guy was that one of the kids asked me a question, and I said, I don't know, why don't we tweet Barobo? And Barobo is the manufacturer of these robots. And then I sent an email privately, hey Barobo, they've sent you a tweet, please make sure you answer. And believe it or not, Barobo did. And so they invited my students to make some suggestions about some potential changes and things in the programming process for the Barobo link. And I'll tell you, the kids really felt important, that what they said mattered. And when they were making their really crazy big monstrosities, Barobo responded back and complimented them. So I think the Barobo got a kick out of seeing what the kids were actually doing with the robots that they had made. Okay, so this is probably my favorite video of the entire year. And before I go further, I do want to explain, this is a 6th grader, and I had shown the students a video of a robot picking something up. And so while the other kids were doing some amazing other things, this group of 6th graders, and I'm not kidding you, literally had their heads together discussing how they were going to make a robot pick something up. And this is programmed. This is, you know, the kids are all watching because they've already written the program. Isn't that the best smile ever? They were tickled to death. Now, I was called over again multiple times to say, okay, we made it better in the same session. So here was better. Oops. And I really want to stress that while I've taught them some real basics, that all of these ideas have come from them. So one of the other things and all of that is that in another part of the classroom, I had a group of, I think, 4 or 5 8th graders, and they were totally engaged with something around a computer, and I wasn't sure what they were doing. So of course I went and peeked. And on one computer they had music open, sheet music, and on another computer they had matched up the frequencies of the different notes. So they were literally transposing music into frequency, because these link bots actually play frequencies, and they were trying to do the Imperial March using the frequency on the robot. So last night I was having dinner with a friend of mine who's one of our club advisors, and I shared with him the little bit of programming I had taken a picture of. And he was just cracking up, because he said, this is what we dream of. You know, people who see something they want to try and have an opportunity to just try it. There's no pressure on my side. You know, I don't care if they program frequencies, but I taught them how to do a frequency in like 2 minutes. And this is a group of kids who have just totally run with it. So I wanted to share that with you too, because I'm just proud as punch, but I didn't put the pictures in from that one. A couple more things. One of the things that I designed at the beginning of the year was a website for our club, and I don't have it up here. I have the link so that you can look at it at your convenience. Every week we set up the lesson plans. I make announcements, put pictures that I've taken. Barobo has some cool videos that the kids have gotten excited about watching. And on May 30th, the kids will be participating in a competition up at Davis. So it'll be C-STEM Day, and we're pretty excited about it. Out of my about 25 or so kids, I think I have 11 or 12 going to that competition. So it's pretty exciting.
So Shauna, Rebecca just put in a comment in the question. She said, "Way cool!" exclamation point. So I was thinking the same thing, and I just want to remind our participants that if you have any questions, to drop them in our questions window. One of the things I wanted to ask you, Shauna, was you mentioned that you are not a programmer, and I think that that's an important point to teachers who might be a little intimidated by this whole idea. And if you thought that somebody who really doesn't have a background in this could be successful getting started with it.
Great question. And let me really stress, and I need to strongly, really stress, since Adrian's known me for years and years, I do not have any kind of a background in programming. In fact, the one class I took in college, which was a survey of computers way back 30 plus years ago, I could barely pass it. It took a freshman who was a programming student to walk me through every step. I am not a programmer. But let me share with you something that I think is fascinating. I was an English major. I'm fascinated by language and how students learn language. And one of the things that they say is students really learn language, just open books until about puberty. And the thing that fascinates me about this, and someday maybe I'll write my doctoral whatever on it, the sixth graders are the ones that own this language like nobody's business. So as I'm sitting there typing with my eyes glued to the book, it's the sixth graders who are correcting me, who are remembering that this was supposed to be capitalized or I needed a space here. And what I find absolutely fascinating is when I look at it as a language, I realize it's second nature to many of these kids. Now, I have students who have chosen to be there, but they are not all the smartest kids in the school. And it's really important to tell you that, because this is the kind of stuff that I, as an English major, would have really enjoyed as a child. I would have wanted to beat my friends at making my robot drive up to an edge and stop. So this is not my background at all, but I am having a complete blast teaching it. I will tell you I have some really important help. One is that the other teacher in my teacher pair, or the other club advisor, is the head of our math department. So when I get stuck on math or math questions, she is happy to clarify and all of that. It doesn't happen very often, but every once in a while she can explain something in a much better way. I will share with you, though, that I did laugh the other day when we were talking about the word sequencing, and she announced that that was actually putting sequins on the robots. And I was so proud of her, because that's the kind of thing I would say. We also have two club advisors who, one is an engineer for Genentech, and he doesn't come in, but he's really helped us out as far as, like, he built the competition board that we're practicing with now. And another one is a programmer who actually programs robot vacuums. And so he has come in and shared with the kids the importance of, for example, writing their comments down, because a lot of the kids say, oh, well, that doesn't matter, so I'm not going to put it in. And when he shows them, compared to their 20 lines of code, his thousands of lines of code, it's really great for them to be able to recognize this is what he's doing on this line and this is what he's doing on this line. So, yeah, So I'm not a programmer, but I have people who are good at this stuff. And again, I type out of the book. Don't ask me to do anything but compare the book, what I've typed to the book. And occasionally, I can troubleshoot. I have those skills. But yeah, did that answer that question clearly enough? Okay. Do I have any other questions? Okay. Let's see, as we close this in, I wanted to share a statement by a student today who, when I said to her, I want to just tell me about what your experience is. She's been in our robot club all year. She's kind of shy. She's not really confident in herself, although I've really watched her become more confident, which is fun. you can see what she had to say about it. I thought it was really funny when she said, I learned how to program. I'm thinking of creating a little robot at home and having a programming system. One of the neat things about the whole UC Davis program that I use is while I do pay for, or our site pays for the site license, all the software is free for students. So we have a site license at school, but the students have full access to the programming, like the CH environment, the RoboSim, all of that is available for them to use at home. So they can practice programming at home and then come to school and see it with the robots themselves. Something flipped into my head about that. I think the cost is, our site license for one lab is, I think, approximately $800 a year. And they've been terrific. We've been able to do installs, updates, all of that. We haven't had any big problems. And when we have brought issues to them, they've immediately corrected them and gotten right back to us. So there's 3 different organizations that we're working with that's all related. One is, of course, the UC Davis C-STEM program. An offshoot of that was Barobo, and it happened that I was at a conference the other day and ended up having lunch with a guy that knew the guy that founded Barobo a while ago. And he was like, wow, he was a really smart kid. And I said, well, let me tell you what he's doing now. So that was a funny little thing. But they are the ones that do the robots and the software that specifically connects to the robots. And then there's one more organization called Soft Integration. And Soft Integration, again, is an offshoot of this C-STEM. And Soft Integration is the organization that created the what we call CHIDE, but it's the CHIDE. Oh, and that's what I was thinking. CH is a version of C++. So the kids are basically learning C++, but CH is more like the kid-friendly version of it. And this IDE, this environment for programming, is really kid-friendly in that it's color-coded, and the errors are, you know, it tells them at or above this line. So it's a lot easier for the kids to debug.
All right, I'm going to jump in here because I'm going to take over the screen in a minute unless you had some more slides to share, Shauna.
No, I think
that I just wanted to thank you for all the great information. It's so inspiring to see the pictures of your actual students and the videos of them. That you kind of summed it up with that one blonde boy who just looked so excited when that robot picked up that marker. And that's, you know, those moments as educators are what we live for. It's why we went into the biz, as they say. So I'm going to go ahead and take over the screen so that I can show you where all of the content will be stored today. So here is our wiki, the cccoepd.pbworks. You should be seeing that. And on our wiki, it's the same place that you registered today. So you would simply go to the Teachers Power the Common Core series. And right where you see the register link, I will go ahead and upload the video of today's webinar, as well as Shauna's slides and any other links that she shared that may be helpful as you get started with your own STEAM Power, the Common Core, and robots. So thank you so much, Shauna, for joining us today. And I can't wait to see what else your kiddos are going to do, especially at that competition coming up.
Thank you, and we're excited too. We really aren't sure what to expect, so we're just going in to have fun.
Awesome. Okay, thanks everybody for joining us. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.